And hello, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Stuart, and as you can hear, all by myself. No Josh this time, not here to do a review with me. He's got prior acting commitments. So the Hell in a Cell curse has struck again. And yes, it's going to be myself reviewing Hell in a Cell 2021. But before we dive straight into talking about the pay-per-view, if you can please like and subscribe, that'd be really appreciated for the YouTube channel. Also, if you'd like to listen to us on this review on audio form, you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, Anchor, all those nice places. And if you can leave a comment or leave a rating, that'd be really appreciated as well. But yeah, Hell in a Cell 2021 had 6 matches, had 3 title matches, 2 Hell in a Cell matches, so it's shaped up to be a pretty enjoyable show. Wasn't exactly hyped for it. I think I remember talking to Josh on Facebook. He wasn't hyped for it either. So yeah, I guess we just got to dive straight into talking about Hell in a Cell 2021. So yeah, let's hit the music and get this review started.
At last, you're on your own! Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
Yes! You just made the list!
Brock Lesnar.
So yeah, before we get stuck into the main show, let's just have a quick mention of the kickoff match that we had. Obviously, if you watch this podcast or listen to our reviews a lot, we don't really go on about the kickoff because we don't really watch it. Because it's not catered to really us, like our type of fans. So, but yeah, I mean, obviously we had a kickoff show match between Natalya and Mandy Rose. Again, it's like I watched snippets of it when it looked like a pretty technical, decent match, but the match ended with obviously Natalya locking in the sharpshooter with Mandy Rose tapping out and getting the victory. So yeah, I mean, this seems to be the feud going into like kind of their like the women's tag team division. It's not really a tag team division really, so I wouldn't surprise if these kind of teams are going to go against each other for a very long time. But yeah, I've obviously had that bout at WrestleMania when they had doing that. I think it was a tag team gauntlet eliminator, something like that. I can't remember now. But when they were in the ring, they looked really confident, really fun, really good. So I don't know if they've had a tag team title match yet, or this might happen at maybe Money in the Bank. That I'm not against. But yeah, I mean, I just think it'd be really cool, to see these teams go against each other because the division needs it. So, but yes, obviously, wouldn't surprise me if we've got a situation or more tonight that Dana Brooke gets a victory over Tamina or something. So it's like 1-1. So obviously, then maybe going into it, maybe I don't know. But yeah, obviously, not much more to say with this. Well, obviously, Natalya gets the victory, and yeah, hopefully, we get to see that tag team match because I would like to see it. So, well, unless it's already happened, I don't know. But yeah, so yeah, so that's Natalya gets the victory. So yeah, let's talk about the main show now, and let's talk about the opening contest where we had a Hell in a Cell match for the SmackDown Women's Championship where we had Bianca Belair going against Bayley. I think this is Bayley's second. I think it's her second Hell in a Cell match. Obviously, she lost last year to Sasha Banks, so hopefully she can change the record and not have the Hell in a Cell curse like we feel, because we have our own version of the Hell in a Cell curse, minus why I'm doing this review by myself. But yeah, so obviously we're in this match, obviously it was set up basically with Bayley laughing at Bianca Belair, kind of saying she's a joke and like, a champion like you, why you champion, I should be the champion. Nothing really crazy here to set up this kind of Hell in a Cell match, and it was Bianca Belair that said to Bayley, I want you in Hell in a Cell. So 9 times out of 10 that logic doesn't work for the faces, but sometimes it does. But yeah, but basically it's another match where Bianca Belair's got to prove how good she is. It's always a good kind of story to go for when you are like a first time champion. I always like that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's kind of build up to it. But yeah, when it comes to the match early on, it was just basically the story of the match was kind of Bayley trying to get greatest hits in, like what she did last year, and not working. Obviously there was a bit where she set up the bridge of kendo sticks from the apron to the cage, kind of bridge in between. Obviously last year it didn't work. This year she did have it all planned out. It was out, but heel logic abides. You're going to go through those. The heel that sets up it is definitely going through it, so that's the rules. But yeah, when it comes to match early on, we had Bianca Belair controlling, Bayley getting desperate and in the end trying to go for a chair. Obviously last year she couldn't. So then we had a nice face-off between them, going against like Bianca Belair's hair versus Bayley's chair. I know it rhymes, but it actually was really cool. But there's obviously then Bayley threw Bianca Belair into the post, and then she started working on her arm. Makes sense. trying to, especially with I think one of her submission finishers, makes sense. Get working her arm, try and end that kind of power game of Bianca Belair. But then we had these, again, creative spots with Bianca Belair's hair. It seems to be a thing for most of her matches, actually, where you had, there was one bit where at the beginning where she had Bayley, tied Bianca Belair's hair onto the bottom rope. Then there was a lot of gloating by Bayley on getting some steel steps, setting him up, kind of standing on the hair, kind of like, taunting her. But Bianca Belair got back into it, whipped her across off the ropes, and she tripped. Bayley tripped on Bianca Belair's hair and face first into the steel steps. I like that kind of creative stuff with her hair. It's really cool stuff. We had a bit with just a little bit thing here that I found funny is like Bayley bit Bianca Belair, and I've never seen Pat McAfee was not happy. He was like really upset. It's like she just bit her. It's like when you see it in football when someone bites somebody, like that's not cool. So Bayley was desperate. She would try anything, and I mean anything, to try and win this match. She wants that title back. So we got a coat. We got doubles with kendo stick shots. We got a cold red from Bianca Belair onto this by Bayley on Bianca Belair onto the steel wall. We obviously had another. It wouldn't be a Bayley match without him continuously ranting at Cole, telling him to shut up, saying we remember last year when she was setting up that bridge with the kendo sticks. He was trying to explain, but then Bayley knew that we already knew. She respects the fans. She knows that we know what happened last year. So, thank you, Bayley. But we have obviously another spot with the tide of the hair, but on the bottom of the steel chair. Again, what a shocker! It backfired, and obviously it led to the chair kind of going into Bayley's knee. So obviously that she had like a bad knee that would play into the finish later on. Obviously Bayley did use the chair to kind of wedge her Bianca Belair's arm into that. Cool spots like that. We got some cool stuff. We also even got Bianca Belair trying to use her hair for good, not bad this time, using it as like wrap it around Bayley's arm with a handcuff type thing. So it's just just to use it as she can't get away from anything. That we got kendo stick shots. We got ladders. We got a tug of war with the ladder that obviously Bayley won. She smashed it into Bianca Belair's back. But then she got the ladder and she kind of opened it up like a wedge shape, put Bianca Belair into it and hit her kind of rose plant finisher onto the steel ladder. But because obviously that we just talked about that right knee kind of situation where it's injured, she hurt her knee, so she had to delay before she went for the pin. She got the pin, and Bianca Belair just was able to get the near fall. But we got Bayley picked up. Bianca Belair, tried to go for like a glam slam onto the turnbuckle, and then placed the ladder on top of Bayley. Tried to go to the top and tried to do some sort of moonsault or top foot move. Bayley moved that away, but still had the ladder on her. Bianca Belair done a senton splash onto her back. Bayley was writhing in pain at this point. Then we got one of the best spots, some great finish to the match, where Bianca Belair hits the kiss of death finisher onto the ladder, especially that back that's been worked on just recently, and got the win. 1, 2, 3, and still SmackDown Women's Champion Bianca Belair in a great opener. You always say about you've got to start a pay-per-view strong, and this was basically the best match to do it. You could say best match of the night, by far the best. Bianca Belair looked great. Bayley tried everything. I even forgot to say, like, she got too much of it at one point and said, I want to get out of here. But she really made Bianca Belair look good here. Bayley's always great. I'm intrigued to see if there's a rematch in this. I don't think so, but I'm intrigued to see who is going to be Bianca Belair's next opponent. I think Bayley's had a run, but yeah, I like it. It's just a good match. It's really good. It's great starts to the show, and it just shows how amazing these two women are. And if you've got to choose between the SmackDown and Raw, who has the stronger women's champion or women's division, sorry, Raw, SmackDown has the better one. So I'm interested to see who she faces next. Probably at SummerSlam, it's going to be Sasha Banks, get her rematch. Or maybe at Money Bank, depends on if you want to do that match a bit early and have something else planned for SummerSlam, because they are bigging it up. So, yeah. And obviously Bayley, please let her do something. She's talented as hell. Just give her a cool storyline after this. She's done great. So yeah, great. if I was going to say for the whole pay-per-view, check out this match. It was really good. So yeah, great opener. So fingers crossed, hopefully the rest of the show is equally as good. So yeah, after the match we had a kind of backstage interview with Bianca Belair, saying that Hell in a Cell was brutal and she had enough to keep the title. But she said that Bayley kicked her butt, but she'll never forgive her for that. So obviously it seems like that feud is over, as I just stated. Obviously then we had another thing with backstage. We got a video package of kind of Bobby Lashley backstage, his private dressing room with very lovely ladies, because obviously when you're the champ you get all the money, you get all the ladies, and basically trying to get into the zone, trying to really get, proper, some serious face, to try and get hyped up for his main event against Drew McIntyre. And then off that we had a very another Alexa Bliss in her playground talking about Shayna Baszler, about what she did to Lily, and obviously Shayna Baszler should expect the unexpected. And with Alexa Bliss, you're always going to get that because she's now got the Fiend's powers, so she can do all kinds of spooky stuff. So obviously we'll talk about that when we get into that match later on. But yes, the next match we're going to talk about is kind of a rematch from WrestleMania with Seth Rollins going against Cesaro. One thing going into this match that I kind of forgot what they did nicely in the video packages. It probably because it's been so long, it feels like so long ago, I totally forgot that obviously Seth Rollins attacked Cesaro after the main event between Roman Reigns the last pay-per-view. I totally forgot about it. It's just like, oh yeah, that did happen, didn't it? It's just because it's like, it's one of those things sometimes we forget. But it's basically, this match is kind of set up from the situation of Seth is frustrated with Cesaro. He thinks he doesn't deserve his spot. He hasn't earned his spot. And he just can't beat Cesaro. Like, I think they've faced each other a couple of times now. And Seth Rollins just can't win. So I guess in theory, that's where it sets up. He just hates, obviously there was a bit where I think he done a curve stomp on an edition of SmackDown where he done a curve stomp onto the stage, and obviously Cesaro came back out on a stretcher, so Seth was like, he's livid at this point. Obviously suit game was on point as always, because he seems to be going crazy with the colours, but it's Seth Rollins. But it was kind of the thing here. It was just basically a match where Cesaro just he's on a hot streak at the moment. They're pushing him, really pushing him, thank God, and obviously Seth Rollins just like, you don't deserve it. So that's what the match was pretty much. And they kind of started with that, with the kind of situation of just when Cesaro came out first, then before you knew it, you thought you were getting Seth Rollins music, boom, Seth Rollins attacks Cesaro from behind. But the funny thing is, it didn't really work, because normally he would get control early on, and he didn't, because Cesaro just just pushing him around, getting back in control. Then we had a nice back and forth between those two, and then one of the best kind of moves. Then we had nice cool moves after that, a lot of stuff, and then we kind of got to one of the funny parts of the match where obviously Seth Rollins was doing a lot of these like sucker punches, sucker punches kind of moves with his glove. So Cesaro had enough of that. So we had a bit where Cesaro took Seth Rollins' glove, took it off, put it in his mouth, proper humiliation. And then when he was finished with him, he took the glove and he kicked it out of the ring, proper out of there kind of thing. But obviously we got a commentary, a football reference. That obviously always feels cringe when they match in football, because it always comes across as a kind of person that doesn't know what football is and kind of seen it and just want to mention it, but doesn't actually know what's going on. It's cool, it's not a big deal, but it's really cringe in my end. The match continued. We had some Seth Rollins basically trying everything on Cesaro, trying to beat him. I think we had a nice right hand to the back and neck of Cesaro. I got this very Will Ospreay's kind of vibe with that kind of strike. Maybe he's copying that, or maybe it's just a thing he's done to his Arsenal. We obviously got a Falcon Arrow on Cesaro, got for 2. We got that new kind of delayed kick into the back of the neck, kind of spinning heel kick that he's been doing lately. I think he got that from Nakamura. Hit that, but he just couldn't put Cesaro away. Near the match, we had a situation where Seth Rollins tried to go for the stomp. Cesaro kind of countered it into kind of a spinning or a discus clothesline. Maybe a reference to Brody Lee, if I pronounce that correctly. I always get it wrong. Rest in peace, Brody Lee. But then obviously it wouldn't be a Cesaro match without some sort of swing. So I think I counted 12, but some people said 10. No one was counting. I kind of lost count. Got some swings, and then Cesaro near the end basically was like he had enough of this. He locked in a sharpshooter, then transitioned it into a crippler crossface, or a yes lock if you want to be specific. But then kind of a back and forth, and then kind of he tried to lock in the sharpshooter again. So Seth Rollins figured his way out of it, but then Cesaro was like kind of stamping on his arm. But then kind of after that, we had a way that he kind of I kind of missed it when I was watching it, with Seth Rollins kind of hooking an inside cradle on Cesaro, gets the dastardly heel win, 1, 2, 3, and yeah, so Cesaro finally loses to Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins finally gets that, finally beats Cesaro. I would have expected like the tights or some sort of, cheating, but he kind of got a clean win. It was just to use his smarts to outsmart Cesaro, because he was basically in control of most of this match. So, because obviously they really are hopefully building, especially when I've heard Mick Foley said that he begged, I think Vince, like literally hands and knees to push this guy. And I haven't seen bad stuff. I'm hoping they just put you at the Intercontinental title on him, so I'm going to let him go with it. And then maybe big him up so he can finally take that title off, was it Roman Reigns? Maybe not, but anyway, ahead of myself there. But yeah, so was it 16 minutes? Fun match. I do think their WrestleMania match is 10 times better. There seems to be the pace was a bit slower than this one, and maybe it might be because of kind of where they were, or maybe because of obviously the hype of the crowd at WrestleMania maybe like hyped them a bit more. Hopefully that is the case. Yeah, Cesaro finally gets beat. Seth Rollins find a sneakily heel way of getting the win. Obviously, we would have liked to be a bit more cleaner, but it's one of those things. But yeah, it was a good match. But again, it just felt like they've done better. It felt like it was by the numbers type thing. So yeah, I think Cesaro's been great. Seth Rollins is a mixed bag when it comes to some of his work. No one can deny he's amazing in the ring. So again, as I just realised, obviously these two guys are probably going to be in that Money in the Bank ladder match. Definitely Seth, definitely Cesaro. I mean, if I was going to put an only prediction, I would put Cesaro as a perfect pick to be Mr. Money in the Bank. So yeah, hopefully we find out. So so Seth Rollins gets the sneaky pin and gets the win here against Cesaro. So then we pan to the kickoff panel where they just recap what's happened so far in the show. Then before we had the match between Alexa Bliss and Shayna Baszler, we had an interview backstage with Shayna Baszler in the gorilla position, talking about kind of why is she scared of Lily? Is she like what to expect? Kind of replying to her comments that Alexa Bliss said, expect the unexpected. And basically it was all a situation of Shayna Baszler sitting there going, yeah, I break people, I don't play games. And obviously we had a weird thing with Nia Jax sitting there saying maybe you need a bit of luck, and obviously Reginald, she doesn't like Reginald, by the way, giving her a hand, kiss hand for good luck, and Reginald's hand for good luck, and obviously she slapped him in the face, and yeah, obviously it just seems like she's had no mood for that shenanigans, because you're going to get a lot of them in this match. So yeah, that kind of nice transition nicely into the next match we're going to talk about. Is obviously Alexa Bliss, or kind of spooky, kind of Harley Quinn Alexa Bliss, got against Shayna Baszler in a very normal match. Expecting spooky stuff, because obviously this whole match has kind of been set up, I think, from a lot of it from what I've looked up, is basically, I saw the outrage on Twitter about this one, Baszler being afraid of Lily, a doll, because we went very Chucky, or like very supernatural kind of horror with possessions of objects here, when obviously she said bad things about Lily. I can't believe we're talking about a doll here. Was it Shayna Baszler kind of stepped in on her, and then all of a sudden it got really spooky, lights went out, and then backstage and you got Shayna Baszler, a legit MMA fighter, running away from a doll that doesn't exist. I mean, I feel sorry for her. I can see why people are pissed. It's just, come on. I mean, I like goofy stuff at times and that, but come on, not Shayna Baszler. But yeah, so the build up wasn't great. As I said, I think I said in my notes, kind of lost interest with the old Alexa Bliss. She's doing a good job, because obviously it's given us some really cool stuff to work on. But ever since that terrible finish at WrestleMania with Randy Orton and The Fiend, I lost interest, because I had no faith. They have nothing to do that could put it off. But yeah, obviously we got some really cool. We had the kind of really playing on her powers being mind control, because really playing that, because we had a bit during the match on SmackDown where was it SmackDown? No, it was Raw. Keep thinking this definitely is Raw. My bad. But yeah, we had a possession of Reginald, kind of looking to my eyes type thing, proper mind control type stuff. That's a bit goofy, but it works for what the push here. But yeah, so that's kind of the build up to it. Nothing really crazy here. yeah, but obviously I was going into it expecting some like craziness, spookiness, like there wouldn't be a match. But I was surprised how normal this match was. A lot of the match was basically as you expect, because she's now got the Fiend's powers. She's kind of laughing off any offense that Shayna Baszler is trying. There was a bit when Shayna Baszler was doing that. Was it joint manipulation when she kind of bends the arm and then kind of like stamps on it? It's like, looks like break the arm. But yeah, she was Alexa Bliss was just like at first like really selling it. It hurt, then just laughed it off as you expect. We did have through the match we had Alexa Bliss trying to mind control Shayna Baszler with a lot of like look into my eyes type thing. And she did sell it quite well when she was like kind of shaking it off, head shaking, like, no, you're not taking control of me. But yeah, obviously we got, again, Alexa Bliss did take it, actually felt like an actual match. A lot of like, we had DDT by Alexa Bliss on Shayna Baszler, we had a lot of kicks to the face, movesets you expect from Alexa Bliss. But she kind of gave up on trying to mind control Shayna Baszler, so she tried to mind control Nia Jax. With Nia Jax seemed to be a soft touch here, and kind of the weak minded had very Star Wars Jedi mind trick type stuff. Only works on the weak minded. But yeah, but it worked on Nia Jax, proper selling the hell out of it. You had Alexa Bliss kind of moving her arm up and probably like mimicking type stuff with Nia Jax doing the same. It was fine and done that. We had this really funny bit when Reginald was like trying to snap her out of it, and then just while Alexa Bliss, very nicely done. They really pulled it off very nicely. I give them that. It's like when Alexa Bliss moved her arm, Nia Jax did as well and slapped kind of Reginald in the face. I kind of like, but obviously Shayna Baszler eventually, I think, was able to snap her out of control, and she didn't know, she couldn't remember what was going on. But yeah, but the kind of match ended with kind of Alexa Bliss kind of punching Shayna Baszler into the throat, hitting such a unique version of like the Sister Abigail or DDT kind of combo, went to the top, hit the Twisted Bliss, pinned Shayna Baszler, and yeah, get the victory. No surprise here, because obviously they're really pushing Alexa Bliss as this kind of force in the women's division. But again, as we said before, does it have to be Shayna Baszler has to do this goofiness? There's got so many other people. Like, I mean, Nia Jax in general could have probably done this job. But Shayna Baszler, legit MMA fighter, doing goofy stuff like this. I mean, and she keeps losing. I don't remember last time she won a match, like clean. But I mean, it wasn't. The funny thing about this match, it didn't really, like, it was one of those matches that I was expecting to be like really eye rolling. But it was just a okay match. Like, and it didn't really, like, the kind of goofiness didn't, and the kind of, like, possession didn't really play into the match. It was just a power she used to try and mess with the opponent, but she still won by a wrestling move. That's kind of nice. I don't like it when moves are, when it goes over the top. It had a good balance, I guess, if you're into this. But yeah, I mean, personally, I'm not really. I've lost interest, obviously, as I said. So, but I don't know where this would go. I mean, Shayna Baszler, I mean, come on. What are they doing with her? Put her on SmackDown, make her legit badass, and then we can have like the Shayna Baszler that we all saw in NXT, because she looked legit there. Now look at her. It's really sad. Like sometimes I wonder why NXT is the way it is, because like nobody wants to be taken up to the main roster because they're going to be used like rubbish. But yeah, so obviously it's the way it is. I don't know where Alexa Bliss is going from here. Maybe we're going to have like against like a bigger superstar. Maybe it might set up and maybe Alexa Bliss versus the Fiend whenever he reappears from his slumber where he is. So well, we could do it. I mean, we can technically do cinematic matches still, I guess. But yeah, I was just surprised how it was a clean win, no craziness, not as much. It's not that great. It wasn't that great, but I had a low bar for this match, so it exceeded my expectations. But yeah, it's fine. Obviously, Alexa Bliss gets the win. Shayna Baszler is getting booked like rubbish, but there's not much we can do about that. But yeah, cool stuff here. So in some stuff, I mean, when I say cool stuff, I mean like the goofiness was funny, but in some ways, but yeah. If you like this stuff, you'll love this stuff. You'll love this match. If you don't, it's just another excuse why this stuff sucks sometimes when it's not executed. Right. But yeah, so Alexa Bliss gets the win. And yeah, but before we go into talking about Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn, we're just going to go over a quick ad break. from our sponsor for today's podcast. So little break. Here's our sponsor, and we'll be back in a bit.
Today's podcast is presented by Podgo. Podgo is the easiest way for you to monetize your podcast, providing podcasters with a flat rate for ad space so you always know how much you get when you include an ad from Podgo. Apply today to become a member and immediately be connected with advertisers that fit your audience. That's Podgo at podgo.co. And be sure to add our podcast, the Josh and Stu Wrestling Podcast, in the How Did You Hear About Podgo section of your application.
So, that was today's sponsor. If you want to get a link to that, a link will be in the description of our YouTube video if you're watching on there, as well as our link to our description in our podcast of this episode. So check that out. So let's go back to talking about Hell in a Cell 2021. So obviously next match that they had advertised was Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn in another rematch against the two. I thought this feud was over, but apparently not. Probably the same thing with, I don't think there's any more added stuff that he's still annoyed that with the whole thing with Kevin Owens not believing all his Sami Zayn's conspiracy theories. So it's kind of hasn't really changed. It just feels like it's gone. It's just continued. So, but obviously the story that kind of going in that sense with that played into the match was that Kevin Owens, I think, going against, was it Commander Aziz, if I pronounced that correctly. Obviously, that's Apollo Crews' kind of henchman. Obviously, they had a match on Go Home Show, and KO got a Nigerian nail, or it's basically that old, was it Samoan spike that obviously Umaga used to do. Umaga, used to do, and obviously properly selling it as well. So obviously got like a thumb to the throat. So basically he can't speak and he's winded. So going into this match, it's kind of like, should this match even happen? KO was like, I want to have Sami Zayn, because obviously he got involved in the match. So, but probably the question is, should this match even happen? Because obviously he's coming in with an injured throat. Or because he's coming in coughing a lot. That's kind of a bit when a lot of the stuff with COVID is cough related. So, basically what kind of played into the match quite well. So that's why it was a bit different from the other matches that normally are just basically spot fests and kind of really cool executed moves by both guys because they know each other so well. So, obviously going to match, obviously KO was still in control early on. Was it kind of throwing Sami Zayn around the ring? But it was obvious that kind of Nigerian nail spike on the Go Home Show is kind of been playing on him because he's really selling the hell out of it. It was like every time he hit a big move, it was taking a lot out of him. So he was really selling the hell out of that. So I kind of like that they're actually playing into like a thing in a Go Home Show that's actually affecting the match in the pay-per-view. They don't do a lot. Usually you just shrug it off as like it didn't happen. But I like that. I think that's why SmackDown is a better written show. There's a clear difference from quality when you watch Raw and SmackDown matches in this show tonight. So it's one of those things. But obviously what a shocker that Sami Zayn worked on that throat. A lot of vicious shots to that throat as well. But obviously KO kind of got back into it. But Sami Zayn did do his trademark dive over the top rope. And obviously another thing that injured his arm, so his throat's buggered, and now his left arm is obviously injured as well. So obviously what a shocker! Sami Zayn was starting to work on that as well. The kind of best like sequence in the match was when KO tried and hit a cannonball off the apron, but Sami Zayn, as you knows him so well, put the knees up, and then brought it back into ring and hit his trademark blue Thunderdome to just get to. I do think that should be his finisher, or should be put some people away because it's so spectacular. It's a cool move that should finish. But it kind of got slow at this point. We got KO trying to do a stunner, but obviously you have Sami Zayn can stay into. Sami Zayn's like an underhook suplex, but I thought it looked like to me like a version of that Snapdragon suplex that's kind of Kenny Omega does. By the way, it's a cool move. It's probably one of the only ones they kind of did, but in the sense of like they do more of those in other matches. A lot of these unique moves that they do because they know each other so well. But we had KO finally did hit a stunner on Sami Zayn, but it was on the outside. It really took a lot out of Sami Zayn because he just got back into the ring for the 9 count. Must have hurt because he was bleeding at this point in the mouth. So, but yeah, obviously then wouldn't be a kind of Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens match without some sort of hockey fight. We got a lot of that. Then obviously KO kind of hit a huge forearm, trying to stump, and then stumping on Zayn against the ropes. It was kind of favouring his left arm because obviously that's injured. But then Sami Zayn kept working back onto the arm, wedging it between the ropes with left arm. Then we had the kind of finish of the match ended with Sami Zayn kind of kicking the back of Sami Zayn and kind of him hit his throat hitting the bottom rope. Obviously he's like really injured at this point, so he couldn't, it's probably coughing, all that kind of stuff. Gets in position. Sami Zayn hits a haluba kick out of nowhere. Boom, KO's out. 1, 2, 3. And yeah, I was shocked that Sami Zayn got a clean win. I can't remember the last time Sami Zayn got a clean win on a pay-per-view or in general. He's always the guy, because he's the chicken shit heel, he always has to lose. So yeah, we got the clean win. It seems to be the heels are getting, it's all heels this, finally getting their revenge. That kind of it's very strange actually. I don't think any, except for one, I think Bianca Belair, I think all the faces all the faces lost tonight in this pay-per-view. So maybe that's just, sometimes it should be called the heel revenge. Maybe that should have been what it's called. Hell in the Cell, heel revenge. But anyway, it doesn't matter. But yes, obviously, yeah, cool stuff there. Obviously, really selling. They've had better matches. This is more of a, looks like they're driving more of a story, slow-paced, story-driven match more than just a kind of straight-up great wrestling contest. But yeah, it was really with again. Sami Zayn won clean. Pat McAfee really selling, helping him out, his buddy, conspiracy nut that Sami Zayn is. He's finally got the win. They tried to screw him, but he finally got the win. So KO's got that throat injury, really selling the hell out of it. I don't know where they'll go. Again, it's probably setting up kind of like contenders for Money in the Bank. Because obviously we had Cesaro and Seth Rollins. Now we've got KO and Sami Zayn, so everyone's getting wins, so maybe it racks up to why they were involved in the match, maybe, or they can do qualifiers, I don't know, but yeah, so I think it's just a build up for that really. But yeah, it's just great to see Sami Zayn finally get a win. But yeah, I mean, this is probably the 15,000th time these guys have gone against each other. Wouldn't surprise me if there's a random match on SmackDown in a qualifying match and KO wins or something like that. But yeah, I hope this kind of injury with the throat kind of continues and maybe start a nice interesting story thing with obviously Apollo Crews and, was it Commander Aziz? I think that's how he pronounced his name. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see where he go with that. But yeah, Sami Zayn gets the win and gets a clean win. Awesome. So yeah, so good stuff for him. So after that, we got a nice video package of a Hell in a Cell match that was supposed to be on this pay-per-view. Obviously, it was Rey Mysterio going against Roman Reigns inside Hell in a Cell, I think, for the Universal Championship. We got the shock news, I think, on Thursday night, I think, with that they're moving that match in on the Go Home show of SmackDown. Everyone was kind of shocked and bizarre, thinking why. But again, I didn't watch the match, but obviously you'd be surprised what happened. The Roman Reigns did win. But yeah, I didn't get why they did that. I think the rumors are that the reason they did it because they wanted Drew and Bobby Lashley to finish off the show, be focused on them. That I can get, but I don't know. It does feel like a really snap out of nowhere decision to put a Hell in a Cell match. And apparently, I don't think it was in the main event of the show. I think it was halfway through. I don't know. But yeah. So yeah, so we talked about that. So obviously, I would have liked to have seen that match on the pay-per-view, but they changed their mind. So next we go into the next match on the card. We have obviously the singles match for the Raw Women's Championship. We got Rhea Ripley defending her title against Charlotte Flair. In a match that kind of we were kind of expecting, kind of was scheduled for WrestleMania, or at least some sort of variation of that. But we never got that, obviously, for reasons that we know. If you listen to our WrestleMania review, you know what that was. But yeah, obviously they had to build up to this is basically because in a triple threat, Charlotte was not pinned, it was Asuka. So she wasn't pinned, she didn't lose, so she gets a title shot. That's strange logic, but if you're going to get a rematch, okay, you can go with that. But apparently the champions kept losing to Nikki Cross in leading up to this. So if you're trying to build up Charlotte, you've done a terrible job to make her be a credible match. But going into this, I was kind of expecting, it was like you're waiting for Rhea Ripley to get that clean win against Charlotte. because obviously she's lost to her twice now, I think, in a competitive match, like when it comes to one-on-one, because obviously she beat her at WrestleMania, not last year, but the one that was in the Performance Center, and obviously she beat her in then I think that's Triple Threat she lost to as well. I can't remember, but I think she's beaten her once, maybe twice. So Rhea Ripley needs to get her win, like clean win over her. I'm expecting it to be here because obviously at some point it depends on where Ripley's going to go against at SummerSlam. That's kind of the big one. We got, you could probably have a rematch for this, but yeah. So that was what's kind of going into it. So, but you could expect it because obviously against I think Rhea Ripley's chemistry against Oscar was good, but it could have been better. So I was kind of thinking, would this work? Because it kind of was, the other matches have been a bit, not being a great fan of them, but yeah. So it was. I was intrigued to see how this match was going to turn out. I mean, it probably could have been a very good competitive match, and it kind of in a point was. It was good wrestling match wise. It had some good stuff in it. So obviously at the start of the match we had Charlotte kind of taking the title off the ref just before and chucking it in Rhea Ripley's face, kind of shouting lesson 1. Kind of, she looks like she's teaching Rhea Ripley how to be a champion. That seems like if this is the story they're going to go for, it seems like they're going to go for where to beat me you've got to basically act like me, or to be the man you've got to beat the man type situation. A very obviously Ric Flair type stuff. Obviously after that she got a nice quick roll up on Rhea Ripley for 2, and then a nice big boot to the face, and then another. That's lesson 2. So she's toying with Rhea Ripley at this point. In control, couldn't get any real offense. Was it Rhea Ripley at this point? We even have a bit where Charlotte Flair booted Rhea Ripley into the barricade. Nice one there. Obviously, then she brought it back in the ring, tried to get a quick 3 count, but didn't get enough. And and then obviously we got she was working on that knee because I think injured with the steel steps. I think early on in the match. But it makes sense because obviously if you want to take out the knee, if you want to hit your figure 4 leg lock, Charlotte, it makes sense that she's going to work on that. Obviously Rhea Ripley did get back into the match at some point with nice got like a couple of like cool like kind of Okada kind of like clotheslines on Charlotte Flair, and a nice little sort of super kick on Charlotte. We got obviously, and then Charlotte got back into it and hit like a heel hook kind of submission between the ropes, really wrenching on that leg. We did get Rhea Ripley hit. I call it a riptide submission, but you know that submission where she locks the legs and kind of like, holds her up like high. I've described that terribly, but yes, like really, I think it's one of her cool finishes that she does on Charlotte Flair, but she was able to get out of it. We got a nice natural, was it Charlotte Flair? It looks like she might have got the win here with like a natural selection out of nowhere on Rhea Ripley. She did try to put a foot on the rope, try and get some leverage, but kind of did like half-assedly, like was going to do it but changed her mind. But obviously Rhea Ripley kicked out there. We did get a cool thing where I think at the top, when they were fighting at the top, you got shot. She tries to do a moonsault. I think it's like she's kind of Charlotte went to the top for a moonsault, and then kind of Rhea Ripley moved out of the way, but then Charlotte hit a standing moonsault. Probably got that from her husband. But I mean, it's just cool stuff. Like Charlotte's got that in her arsenal. She is again. It's not really hers like character, or not really hers as a person. It's kind of just more that they always book her in a kind of championship matches, and it always feels like she's either put in matches that she has no right to be in, or kind of put in title matches that somebody else probably should have got the opportunity, but it's not her. That's probably why people don't like Charlotte at the moment. But anyway, yeah, so we've got, Charlotte keep working that leg again. We've got Rhea Ripley hitting a roll, like trying to get a roll up for 2. We got a nice superplex from the top, but obviously that hurt Rhea Ripley's knee. Obviously, it could play up at the end, possibly. We had a nice brawl between two of the women. But we did get a nice spot where kind of Rhea Ripley hit the riptide, but she put it too close to the ropes. But the old mistake, you knew when she was hitting the outer leg and not the inner leg, Charlotte was probably going to put her foot on the bottom up, and what a shocker she did. We got a nice, we got a Charlotte Flair, still working on that leg, really working on it. I think she had a drop kick onto the steel steps on the outside. Hit a spear, then she locked in her figure 4 leg lock. Rhea Ripley kind of getting out, kind of rolling, like she reversed it and then rolling on the outside. And then they kind of brawl for a while. Then obviously they fight at the table. This is where the controversy begins, with the terrible finish here. With basically she's like they're holding on to the kind of what was it, the mat or the thing on top of the announce table, but she chucked it at Charlotte Flair, hit her in the face, but the ref thought that was a disqualification move, and Rhea Ripley was disqualified, and Charlotte won by DQ. A lot of people not happy with this finish. I am one of them. I mean, I think someone said, like, Randy Orton does that all the time, like, every week, and that's not a DQ, but this is, it's kind of a lame-ass finish. If you were going to do it, kind of just do it with a situation where, like, she grabs the title, and she kind of hits her with it, or, like, accidentally hits her with it, or some sort of, like, low blood doesn't really work with a woman, I guess, but just something better, man. Come on. I mean, I get you want to protect Charlotte, you don't want to lose, but obviously you want Rhea Ripley to not lose either. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. So we can set up a rematch, because obviously Charlotte can go, well, I won the match, so I should get a rematch. They'll probably get a stipulation match at Money in the Bank. But yeah, I mean, it was a good, fun match. It was fun. It had some cool moments. I liked it to the point, except for the finish. But I think, I just don't know, it just didn't... Come on, man. Think of something more. I mean, there are cooler ways you can do where you can, like, finish a match where you don't want someone to look weak, and they can still, like, look strong without them, like, having to do some shenanigans like this to try and make someone look strong. I mean, Rhea Ripley, I wouldn't say needs to beat Charlotte. It would have been a bad idea to kind of Charlotte lose here, but lose in a kind of way like I would say, like, try. I don't want to use the trope of the roll up, because they've done it like twice in this match. Obviously, we're talking about a main event, but like twice now. So maybe try something like that. I don't know, but it's just like, come on, I mean, like, what? Because she flipped the freaking hood of the announce table onto Charlotte's face, and now that's a DQ. I mean, come on, ref, come on. I mean, I know Josh would be disappointed with the refereeing decision here, because obviously, as a ref, he was he doesn't like shocking refereeing decisions. So would have been interesting to hear his thoughts on that. But yeah. But it looks like there's a rematch in the cards. Basically, it looks like we're going to have probably like stipulation at Money in the Bank, a ladder match. I wouldn't say a cage match because of Hell in a Cell, but something like a no DQ match or a chair match or something. I don't know. But there's going to be a stipulation on there, so we'll be interested to see. I think Ripley, I'm trying to figure out what her character is. I mean, the booking her as a heel, but it's kind of in the match, it was very obvious she was the face and Charlotte was the heel. But the booking her as a heel, like, it's very strange. But if they're going to go for the story as they've been beginning, where it's basically like, it's going to be a situation where Rhea Ripley is kind of have to turn into Charlotte, act her way to try and beat her. I like that. It was kind of set up in the kind of, I forgot just to bring up the kind of, they had a brawl at the end with obviously Rhea Ripley hitting the Riptide in the ring, kind of getting a heat back, I guess. But I do like the thing, Charlotte, if it's where they're going where I think they're going, with this kind of Charlotte saying, oh, she's learning, and Ripley was saying she's doing Charlotte before Charlotte done something to her, that's kind of playing mind games or trying to say, well, so it's like, it feels like Charlotte's teaching her that you have to act a certain way if you want to become successful in this business. That could be an interesting thing where she finally become like partners or allies, maybe. That could work, but I mean, I like Rhea Ripley as the kind of badass babyface, that kind of was kind of arrogant heel. That doesn't really work, because that's what they did in it. They didn't do that in NXT, and it worked there, so I don't know. But yeah. So obviously Charlotte wins the match, but Rhea Ripley is still your Raw Women's Champion. So I'm interested to see what they do on tonight's Raw. Hopefully, again, I'm not going to watch it, but let's not go there. But yeah. So let's get stuck straight into the main event of this show. Obviously, you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the last chance Hell in a Cell match for the WWE Championship with Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre. If Drew McIntyre doesn't defeat Bobby Lashley, he will not be able to have a title shot against Bobby Lashley again. I'm assuming from how they do the stipulation is it's basically while he is champion, I'm assuming. But and obviously Drew picked this match, where basically Bobby picked the stipulation, he picked the match. So, yeah, I mean, but the kind of going into this, seems like they had a story where basically Drew was like, I'm going to hit that, when I hit that Claymore, you're done. And he finally hit him on the go-home show. So, obviously, he got the pin, got the win in a tag team match. It seemed, and you know the logic there, you knew Drew was probably going to lose. But when you've got a last chance kind of stipulation, you kind of feel that either 9 times out of 10 when they do those, the guy usually wins. So that is their last chance. So maybe that's why. But yeah, I mean, obviously, one thing I mentioned in the build-up that's kind of cool, where we had this against kind of Kofi's involved in the title scene again. That maybe might be what Bobby, what happens next. But yeah, also I just saw that on the video package with that Claymore in midair on Kofi that looked amazing. I mean, that Claymore kick is a thing that can be done in multiple ways in cool variations that I really like. So, but yeah, I mean, again, this was like the longest match of the night, with a lot of, as you expect, because in the main event, you can kind of see it with Hell in a Cell. They're kind of usually like 20-25 minutes. A lot of stuff here, but yeah, obviously at the start of the match, you had Bobby Lashley not getting. Not fed up. So we had Bobby Lashley not messing around at the start of the match. He goes and trying to get a chair, but Drew McIntyre, it's like, what are you doing? It's like when you used to do that thing on the old wrestling games where start the match and the guy's right next to you and you try and get a weapon, and what a shocker, he stops you. But that's what I was thinking with that. Obviously, you got he went for the steel chair. We had Drew McIntyre slamming Bobby Lashley into the steel cage, into the steel post, properly messing with him. Even got another spot where you've got a person picking up the steel steps and trying to chuck them at him. But you got Bobby Lashley kind of got out of it, slams him into the steel. And but yeah, we got a nice suplex. We got a nice suplex onto the steel cage as well by Drew McIntyre. But at this point, Drew was just on fire. It's just when you think Bobby Lashley is just into it, Drew McIntyre was just on him, seriously, Bobby Lashley just couldn't get any control. We had two shots to the face by Drew McIntyre on Bobby Lashley, with the steel steps. You got Drew McIntyre going to get tables. We've got two tables set up, one in the corner in the steel, and one to set up on the other side of the ring. Wrestling logic dictates that someone's either going through that, and it's probably going to be the person that set it up. Wrestling logic, it seems to be the way it goes. But yeah, obviously it took Bobby Lashley with a bit of help from MVP, using MVP's cane to kind of attack Drew McIntyre and to get the advantage. But it didn't last long because Bobby Lashley was attacked with that at some point and was kind of had this really cool spot where it was an air raid crash by Drew McIntyre on Bobby Lashley onto the bottom of the steel steps. Cool move there. Obviously, they said get another more steel steps. Then we've got the chairs, as you expect. He set up on the chairs in the corner, kind of wedged it in between. What a shocker, that's probably going to set up later. We've got a cool thing with Drew McIntyre kind of setting up the chair and hitting a reverse Alabama slammer onto the face of Bobby Lashley. And yeah, I just love spots like that. But obviously Bobby Lashley did have a thing with the outside when they were fighting. Obviously Drew McIntyre was using the steel steps again, but Bobby Lashley had enough of it, and he kind of pushed the steel steps onto Drew McIntyre's face, and Bobby Lashley kind of pushing Drew McIntyre's kind of face into the steel, and properly intense. The guy's he's not messing around this time. We love his intensity. Bobby Lashley, just to really put this guy so well. I mean, if his intro is anything to go by, I love this guy. No surprise, you get kendo sticks. We've got another similar to the kind of creative move they did with Usos and the New Day a couple of years ago, with using the kendo sticks to kind of trap someone in the corner. Also, just needed one here. With a bit of help from MVP? Put it across the chest of Drew McIntyre, and they just beat the living hell out of the man at this point. But at the end of the match, near the end of the match is when it kind of got crazy, where we got we had Drew using one of those chairs, trying to swing for the chairs. You got Bobby Lashley ducking, and then you had Lashley shoving McIntyre into the referee. A huge bump by the ref. We got a ref bump. It's got to happen. Always have some WrestleMania. When you watch enough actually, they've done so many of those ref bumps. But yeah, obviously it was refs on the floor. But then obviously Drew sends Bobby Lashley into that steel chair that was wedged in the corner that we just talked about earlier. Hit a future shock DDT. Was good. Looks like he was going to get the win, but there's no ref. So what does he do? Yeah, basically what he does is there's a ref outside. He says, "You get in here." So he opens the door. The other ref comes in, but obviously that allows MVP to sneak his way into the cage. And Drew McIntyre hits the Claymore kick on him. On Bobby Lashley. He's Looks like he's going to get the win. And just before he gets for the 2 count, though, MVP kind of like drags the referee out. Obviously, he's not another one out, but like, Drew McIntyre is not happy. They had this nice spot, I give him that, where it's like, it's like, oh, I'll get out of the ring and then turn around, and looks like someone locked the cage behind him. So MVP is trapped there with McIntyre. At this point, it was just basically like, Drew McIntyre taking out MVP, chucking him around, hit a Claymore kick on MVP. He's out, looks like it. But one thing I always found funny in this match is keep an eye on this is a title match, mate. Keep an eye on the champion. And obviously it looks like, whereas Bobby Lashley came out of nowhere, locked in the Hurt Lock. They had this nice spot that we've got one of the tables that was set up earlier, where obviously he had the Hurt Lock on the outside, and obviously to get out of it, Drew McIntyre slammed himself into the through the table, just so he can get out of Bobby Lashley's kind of Hurt Lock. That's, I think, is really cool. Like, he took punishment because he couldn't find a way out, so he used a creative way to get out of it. Then obviously Drew after that got up and in with multiple chair shots to Bobby Lashley's back. He tried to go for another Claymore kick. Bobby Lashley got out of the way. Then we had a nice slam on. Bobby Lashley got back into it and kind of slammed. Was kind of like a one-handed slam type thing, or choke slam on Drew McIntyre through the table that was set up on the other side. So that's 2 tables done. Everything that's set up has been used. So the rules to abide, that's good, because you don't want to have another situation where you've set something up, someone's going through it. So then we had that. So it looks, Drew McIntyre looks like he's out. You had Bobby Lashley trying to go for a spear. We got basically Drew McIntyre moved that away, tried to roll up, hit a future shock DDT on Bobby Lashley. Looks like he was going to set out for another Claymore kick. Looks like it's going to be the beginning of the end of Bobby Lashley. You had MVP holding on to Drew McIntyre's leg. But then we didn't get any spear, we didn't get anything crazy. We got a roll-up finish. Because obviously then we got Bobby Lashley just basically doing a roll-up, handful of tights, 1, 2, 3. And yeah, Bobby Lashley is still your WWE champion. And Drew McIntyre's last chance to ever reclaim the title while he is champion. So yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of people kind of said, like, come on. Like, another situation where you could have fought for a better finish. I mean, it got a bit over the top near the end, because you had it's very Attitude Era type booking. This is, ref bumps, people intervening, a lot of people kicking out, the refs out of the way, all kinds of stuff. They didn't have to go too far. They could have done a thing where, I mean, per example, to finish this match, they could have done a situation where you just done, like that cane they used earlier, used that in the finish. Bobby Lashley looks like he's on his way out, looks like he's going to get beat. And then maybe halfway through the match, maybe MVP slides in the cane. And when the ref isn't it's not disqualification, doesn't matter. But maybe when Drew wasn't looking, turn around, smack him around the head with it. And then maybe, and then lock in the Hurt Lock. And then he knocks himself, and he passes out. And he wins that way. One, it would have made Drew just like he wasn't looking, one fatal mistake and Bobby Lashley's on him. Bobby Lashley looks like a badass because it shows when he locks in that Hurt Lock, you're done. Could have done so many, again, another example, so many creative ways to end this match. I mean, come on. But this is the way it is. But again, I put Drew in my predictions for this because I thought, well, if you got a last chance, 9 times out of 10, that's where to go. But again, Bobby Lashley winning it I'm not against it. Because obviously Bobby Lashley has done an amazing job as well, and they're booking him like a beast. With the rumours circulating that we're going to Brock Lesnar is returning after his hiatus, or kind of leaving because of obviously the pandemic, and obviously that's kind of this at SummerSlam looks like. And the rumours are it's going to be Bobby Lashley for the title. I was kind of doesn't need the title. I'd probably say not because it's a big match anyway. But it looks like that's where they're going. So Drew doing something, I don't know. Probably put him maybe in a match that's not a title match. I mean, I would say maybe put him against someone, maybe have that Edge versus Drew match, maybe, because I don't think Edge is exclusive to SmackDown. So maybe they can do that, but I think Drew's done a great job, maybe keeping away from the title scene. I think that's why they did it. So maybe he might get a big match at SummerSlam, or maybe he'll be involved in the Money in the Bank match that, again, I wouldn't be against because he could win it, but it just would give a bit of star power to that match. But yeah, not a fan of the finish. But I mean, looks like I said, it's the heel revenge. Heels pretty much won this match except for Bianca Belair. But no title changes, no shocks, nothing crazy. A lot of good matches in the sense of, like, you know, delivered, but yeah, nothing really crazy here. No, it's like if you've missed a show, you're not missing much. So so that's my thoughts on Hell in a Cell 2021. Just before we finish, I'm going to quickly check a poll I put out before last night. Well, obviously I stayed up watching this pay-per-view. Idiot that I am. I put a poll out, and I think last time I checked it was 19 people voted for it. Thank you so much for that. But let's have a quick look how it is looking. Go and quickly check my Twitter. Let's have a quick gander. I think it's still going now. Obviously, by the time you listen to this, it'll be over. Let's have a quick look. Yes, obviously, no, it's the poll here. Obviously, I put out a poll on Twitter last night asking what people thought. And this is how the results of the poll. We have, no one said it was a great pay-per-view. No surprise there. 26% said it was good. 32% said it was okay, but 42% said it was bad. I don't blame them. I mean, it's kind of a missable pay-per-view. Let's be honest. It's not. If you missed anything from this, you didn't miss anything. I mean, maybe definitely watch the Bianca Belair kind of against Bayley match. That's really good. And except for the finish, the main event was pretty decent. But yeah, a lot of the matches in between were very skippable. I mean, especially that Seth Rollins, Cesaro, and kind of Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn felt like they just added on because they just realised because they've put Roman Reigns versus Rey Mysterio on the go home, their cards looking quite thin. So they just stuck those matches in to keep it going. That's what their matches felt like kind of TV version on a pay-per-view. It's kind of sad, but they're just too good. But it didn't really enhance anyone or enhance anything. But yeah, I could totally get it. It's just nothing here, really. It's got some, like, nothing really, like, you're missing out on anything. That's WWE do this, and I mean, consistently the matches quality, like, they are good matches, but as I said, the finishes really let them down. I mean, especially the one at the end. I mean, it's not the worst finish ever. Obviously, that goes for Seth Rollins and The Fiend, I think, a couple of years ago. Probably the worst sending to a Hell in a Cell match I've ever seen. Up there, obviously, with Brock. Getting involved, I think Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman, and obviously, like, in that match ending in a no contest when it's a no disqualification match in Hell in a Cell. No, that rubbish. So they're learning, but just it would be nice to have a clean finish. Well, kind of a clean finish to it, like, without some shenanigans. But yeah, I mean, some of the finish were disappointing. But yeah, if I was going to pick match of the night, definitely the opening match. I just think it had it was a good matchup. Had some really cool moves in it. Both women trying their arse off to try and do cool stuff. Bayley was great. Bianca Belair, always impressing, always improving. Every match I see of her. And that finish with that, was it Kiss of Death onto the ladders? Now, that's a finish to a Hell in a Cell match. Always seems to be the women. Always seem to deliver when it comes to these Hell in a Cell matches. No offense, but yeah, it just seems to be the case, and they're killing it. So I'll say that's match of the night. But yeah, I saw some people rating, but like I would give, like, someone says 7 out of 10. I think that's very generous, depending on how you like this. But if I was gonna pick, I'm gonna give it 6. Maybe. I think some people are 4 or 5, but I think the both of the Hell in a Cell matches were good enough quality to put it up to a 6 out of 10. You're not missing much. Maybe if you like the Hell in a Cell matches more, you might bump it up to a 7. But yeah, I think there's been better shows obviously this year. But yeah, it's not missable. You're not missing much. It's really thing to say when you obviously I don't hate it as much because I don't want to be. I don't hate things because I didn't regret watching this show. But if you like skipping wrestling and you watch Raw, you're not missing much by thinking you've missed something. It's really sad. But you always get that sometimes with WWE pay-per-views. But maybe they're thinking because it's the last one at the Thunderdome, they just thought, just get it out of the way, let's just do it, and then we'll try and push something for that money, that first pay-per-view on the road, Money in the Bank. I think in 4 weeks they pointed out. So yeah, maybe they just want to get this out of the way and then just when obviously Money in the Bank to really try and get the good stuff done. But yeah, like kind of end it with a whimper, the kind of era, the Thunderdome era of the WWE, and I am not going to miss any of those. They have been, you got used to them after a while. But yeah, they're not fun. I can't wait for fans to be back at Money in the Bank. It was awesome watching WrestleMania this year with fans. For having fans just enhance any match, because their reaction to certain things can always, like, the energy can really build up a match that maybe needs it. It's just you need fans. So I'm looking forward to that, Money in the Bank. But yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed my solo review of Hell in a Cell 2021. Obviously, this is my second year in a row I've done a solo review. Hopefully next year, finally me and Josh can finally do a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view together. Would be nice. But yeah, if you obviously got this far, if you listen to us on YouTube again, please like and subscribe. Obviously, I really appreciate it. Or if you want to go on our Spotify, iTunes, Anchor, all kinds. We're on it. We're on most channels. If you can please leave a comment or put your rating, would be really helpful. Really helpful for our channel to grow. Hopefully we can turn it into something really cool this year, because I think we've made progress. So, but yeah, if you want to, you can follow us on Twitter at Josh and Stu Pod. Should have the results of our prediction game on soon. I think obviously Josh is really busy, so I'm going to assume that he'll probably have them up the next couple of days when he's got time to tally up the scores. It'll be interesting to see what the score's going to be. But yes, check out on Twitter for that. Obviously, go on our Instagram, Josh Stu Wrestling Podcast. That's usually as well as on Twitter, where I put my predictions for mostly shows with some cool graphics. But yeah, if you want to get involved in the prediction game, obviously you can go on joshandstupodcast@gmail.com. Probably butchered that because I always do. But yeah, if we're going out, and obviously email us if on those platforms if you want to know more and join a really fun prediction game. So yeah, when it comes to reviewing, I think the next pay-per-view is Money in the Bank. I think it wouldn't surprise if there's a AEW show in between. I can't remember when it is. I don't think it's next month. So I think the next pay-per-view we will be viewing is Money in the Bank. But I might be wrong. But I might, just when I think about it, I might sneak in my own little review of maybe the Great American Bash. I think that's in a couple of weeks. So maybe, I don't think that's a pay-per-view, but it is a special. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there. So I might watch that. Because NXT has just got really interesting with the Samoa Joe as kind of an enforcer GM kind of role that kind of brings life to NXT, because it has needed it for a while. But anyway, it's not what we're here to talk about anyway. So hope you enjoyed my review. Me and Josh will be back for our next review. So until then, I've been Stuart Irvine. Have an awesome week, and see you next time, everyone. Right, bye.